Striving for a business breakthrough? Shortcut your learning curve to success with the right training, coaching, and support. Welcome to the Impactful Entrepreneurs Show with Adrienne Hill, a show for coaches, course creators, and network and affiliate marketers striving to earn six figures by leveraging social media without being slaves to their businesses. From an overworked hustler to an impactful entrepreneur, your journey starts here on the Impactful Entrepreneurs Show.
If someone asked you what you sold in your business, what your product or your service or your offer was, most people can answer that, right? You can probably answer that right now. Yes? Good. But if someone asked you to very concisely and very clearly communicate the impact that you have on the market, who you serve, and the transformation that you can give them in one sentence, could you articulate that? It takes a whole new level of clarity to be able to get that clear in your business, doesn't it? Well, if you have ever struggled with being able to answer that question, or you're realizing just now that you wouldn't actually know how to answer that, you may need clarity in your business. And so in today's episode, we're going to dive into what is a clarity coach? What do they do? And why is clarity so important in your business? And how do you get it? So let's do this. Today, I am here with Nicolette Moore. She is the creator of the Q Journal and a clarity coach. So I'm so excited to have Nicolette here with us to talk through how clarity and getting super clear on the impact you want to have can actually help you to get more social media sales. So welcome, Nicolette.
Hey, Adrienne. Thank you for having me. Super pumped to be here.
I'm excited to have you on here. So for those viewers who have not met you yet, can you tell us a little bit about your story and what brought you here with us today?
Yeah, for sure. I've been an entrepreneur now since 2010, got started in real estate investing, and loved the idea of having a life that I could call my own, not something that was mandated by an employer and the 40-hour work week. And I loved the taste of freedom that I got just from starting to dabble in real estate investing. And I became an owner of a local company here in San Antonio, and that was like fuel to the fire. Then I found out about this whole online marketing world, started really diving into what is online marketing, how does it work, what does it mean? And so through a long series of events, I've just become really passionate about the whole idea of entrepreneurship and people being able to own their lives. And so really, we can touch on this more as we go through, but in 2017, I did lose a baby girl. She was 23 weeks in utero, and she just had a lot of genetic defects. I already had 3 boys. And at that time, it was so exciting to have a little baby girl, and my heart was just broken over her loss, just losing her, having to abort her in a hospital. It was really a traumatizing experience for me. And the entire year, I call 2017 my dark year, because it was a very hard hole to climb out of. But it really helped me. By the end of the year, I had gotten to the end of my rope, right? I wanted to leave my husband. I wanted to kill myself. I was very suicidal. I lost myself in losing her. But by the end of the year, I came across one woman in one video, and she shared this really powerful message about just taking ownership of your life. Now, this woman was she's a coach. She just posted a YouTube video, and I just came across it one day, and it started my journey into coming back to life. And
One simple video.
It shifted things for me, and it really started me down this path of I've got to figure out how to take control of my mind, because I'm ruining my marriage, I'm ruining my life, and I'm not present for the children that I do have, right? I'm not present for the children I have around. And so it just really started getting me thinking about who I was as a mom, who I was as a human, and how it helped to create in me a desire to be better, to make a difference, to change. Now, over the course of the past few years, I've really, really sat with this thought of motherhood, of who I am as a mom, of what I've done to my children, just being an emotional mess, a head case, right? And so one of the things that I've taken away from this experience has just been families are important, and what we do as parents and engaging with them is everything. And it is a part of us, and it's a part of our story. Business is a part, family is a part, and I believe that they should be combined. I believe that who you are as an entrepreneur and who you are as a parent kind of, they flow together. And so I'm really driven to help entrepreneurs become better humans so that they're creating better lives for their children. It's very symbiotic.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm here. That's why I do what I do, because I'm very interested in helping mostly women. I love working with women. Love my men too, but love working with women because I believe that women have a long way to come in getting ourselves into a mental place where we can be okay with being mom and entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And so I love working with women and helping them to overcome all the mess in the head so that they can pursue their dreams, that they can live the life that they really love, but they can also bring happiness, joy, peace, and just well-being into their families. So that's why I'm here.
That's powerful. Thank you for sharing that with us. You're so perfectly poised to help because you've been through that dark time and come out the other side. That's amazing. Wow. So you call yourself a clarity coach. So tell me a little bit about what that means and what kind of clarity, how it is that you help people.
Yeah, for sure. One thing that I've noticed with a lot of people that I've worked with, a lot of entrepreneurs that I work with, is they don't know how to articulate what they want to do, or even what they do. A lot of times they can't articulate because they're not really doing it. And so there's a lot of want and desire to create impact in the world. There's a want and desire to create a life that they love, but they don't know what that is, or if they have an idea of what that is, they don't quite know how to articulate what it is. And it ends up sabotaging results. It ends up sabotaging them from being able to make an impact with the people that they interact with the people that they network with anyone.
Right.
And so what I love to do is help really impact-driven entrepreneurs. I work with people that want to make a difference in their world, not only externally, but internally. And so I help them to be able to really understand what the best path is for them. Everything that I do is totally custom, totally unique to the person, because no two people are the same. And so that's what I help with clarity on. And so it's a beautiful experience for me, and it's a beautiful experience for the people that I work with, because they get to feel that empowerment. Like, I didn't know how to articulate this, but now I do. And it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, and I can say firsthand, so just a little personal story for you viewers. The whole reason I invited Nicolette in is when I first met her, we sat down, we had a little conversation, we were getting to know each other at a business retreat. And within 15 minutes of talking with her, she had unlocked so much clarity for me. I was so inspired from that 15-minute conversation. I ran out and created what's now my signature program. Because prior to that moment, I knew what my business was about and I knew what I was working on, but I didn't have crystal clarity on what made me unique. And so I can speak to that firsthand, how powerful that moment can be. Like 15 minutes, you guys, it was crazy. So for those who are watching, for our viewers, what are some signs that they might need some more clarity in their business?
Yeah. So there are a few things, there are a few red signals, right, that you can identify. So one, just like I mentioned, if somebody asks you, what do you do? And you can't say it, you can't articulate it, or you're like, oh, you feel weird, or you have that sense of,
like I kind of do this and I kind of do that and I kind of like, no, right? Yeah. Yep.
You don't have clarity. If you find yourself nearly daily, weekly, monthly, finding something else that you're interested in, what is the common phrase in the entrepreneurial world? Chasing squirrels, or
oh yeah, shiny object syndrome.
Yeah. So if you find yourself falling for that, or being attracted to something new all the time, it means you just don't have clarity yet about your specific path. Because once you get clear, you can get focused. Once you're focused, those things no longer align with your mission. So that's a really good indicator that you're not clear. Those are the two biggest ones I would say to look out for. I'd say if you get to the point where you say, I work with a lot of coaches. I love coaches, life coaches in specific. And I work with a bunch of life coaches who they say that they're a life coach, but that's not powerful, right? So they have an idea. They're like, I've got this path. I'm a life coach. But what does that mean to somebody when they interact with them, when they're networking, when they're trying to promote themselves? So getting more specific, okay, you're a life coach, cool. Let's try to hone that in and figure out how to articulate it in a way that's going to be powerful for the people you're interacting with, so that you can actually attract business to you.
Right. Because I would imagine if you're not crystal clear, the way you're showing up on social, right, if that's where you're trying to get sales, isn't super clear. So it's not super clear to your audience who you are, what you do, or why they should buy from you or join your program or whatever it is, right? So for those of you who are maybe struggling to get social sales, it could be that you just need a little bit more clarity, right?
Yeah.
So that it's crystal clear why people should work with you or buy from you or interact with you. So
exactly.
What are some strategies that people can use then to get more sales on social media specifically? Like, what advice would you have for our viewers today?
Well, once you've gotten that clarity and you're able to articulate what it is that you do, then there are multiple strategies. And I mean, we could spend days talking about strategy.
Yeah.
But my favorite, I'll tell them my favorite strategy.
Yeah.
I actually am not a big fan of posting. That's my thing. What I love to do is network. I am in Messenger, I'm in chat, I'm in Facebook groups. And so one of the things that I love to do is get involved in groups or get involved one-on-one with people and just start conversations. And in that way, I can share what I do. And I honestly am a big believer in being just authentic and being yourself. I think that the worst thing you can do is send a message to somebody in hope of getting a sale, clarity or not. So the best thing, in my opinion, is to network and just try to authentically bridge connections between yourself and the people you're interacting with. Because here's the thing. I might be messaging you, Adrienne, and I can say that I'm a clarity coach and this is what I love doing and I love helping people. And you're clear. You don't need my help. But you may know a girlfriend that you're working with that she's really struggling to articulate things, and you haven't been able to help her because that's not your zone of genius, right? And so you could be like, I've got a girl, I've got to refer her to you, right? Because we've been able to connect and we've connected deeply and authentically, and not in a way that I'm just trying to use Adrienne to make money. So that's my number one strategy, and it's worked very well for me. And I get a lot of referral-based business because I just genuinely want to connect with people. So that's my strategy. And like I said, we could talk about a lot of different strategies. And just one of the basic ones, just posting anywhere. Doesn't matter where you're posting. Like we just talked about, if you can't say what you do, you can post. If you're a life coach, for example, I'll use my coaching pals. You can post about mindset all day long, but if you're not if you don't have the ability to express the power of what it is that you do in those posts, it's just sharing another mindfulness tip.
Yeah.
And it's like somebody can scroll past it on the thread and be like, sweet.
And then keep going.
Yeah.
But it doesn't lead to the
there's
sale.
no power there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, okay, interesting. So you've talked a lot about people, a lot of the people that you coach and work with are people who are impact driven.
Yeah.
So for those people who are watching who are impact driven, they're big picture thinkers, right? They're thinking about that bigger impact they want to have. It's a lot of times it's hard to take like this big vision, this big goal, and break it down into like daily activities. Like, how do they bring that big impact goal to life?
Yeah.
That's hard.
I know it's one thing, you wake up in the morning and you're like, what do I do today? Especially if you don't have a lot of business coming in, if you don't have a lot of sales yet, if you don't have a lot of clients and your schedule's kind of open, that's definitely a struggle for a lot of my people. Mm-hmm. What do I do today? What's the best use of my time? I created the Q journal. The Q stands for quarterly. And so my Q journal is a way to help entrepreneurs with this very problem. Mm. So what we do in the journal, for example, and this is something that you can just take away from here, is we always start out with a vision. So like you had mentioned, my impact-driven people, we want to make such a big impact in the world, but you don't know quite where to start. And so I always start off with a 3-year vision. And I start off with a 3-year vision because the 3-year vision is, it's somewhere that your mind can play, and your mind can play safely. So we don't want to look too far in the future because, 2020 looks a whole lot different than 2010. So it's really hard to imagine that far in the future because things just change so much. Mm-hmm. And you don't really want to think just a year in the future either, or just 6 months in the future, because it's too close. It's too real. Yeah. And for many, many people, they struggle with confidence. They struggle with belief. So 3 years in the future is just a beautiful place to put your mind at ease and allow yourself to really explore what is possible for you. Mm-hmm. So we always start there, and then we reverse engineer it. And reverse engineering is just, what are the steps that we need to do, the big steps, right, that we would need to do to get there?
To get from point A to point B.
Yeah. And so we walk it back, and we walk it back, and we walk it back. And so in my journal, we'll go back through the year. Say, okay, well, by the end of this year, what do you think you need to do in order to get to that 3-year goal? And then we'll go back again. Okay, so what do you think you need to do this quarter?
Yeah.
This quarter to be able to get closer to that goal. Mm-hmm. Okay, what do you think we need to do this month to get to that quarterly goal? Okay, what do we need to do this week to get to that month goal? And then what do we need to do every day throughout the week? And so every day there's exercises and questions, jog your brain and help you get focused. And so
that's an amazing amount of clarity.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it's really
big picture, the year down to the quarter, the month, the week, the days.
Yeah, it's beautiful because we want so much for our lives, but it's like in the most challenging moments for most entrepreneurs is in the moment. What do I do?
Yeah.
What is more important? Should I focus on a sales page, or should I focus on making phone calls? Right? Yeah. Especially somebody who doesn't have a team. And that's, I know, one thing that Adrienne helps with a lot is helping to understand where you should delegate your time and resources and all those good things. But if you're a solopreneur and you're trying to figure all these things out, it can be really overwhelming. And so really breaking all of it down to be super, super clear for the best use of your time is what I love to help people do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love that because it knits together the clarity that people need and the impact they want to have all in one nice little bundle. So for the viewers who are watching and kind of wondering, how can getting clear on my impact goal and my, action steps, how does that get sales on social?
Mm-hmm.
How do we knit these two things together now?
Oh, well, I mean, it's easy, right? Once you're clear, if you're driven by using social to build your brand, to build your business, then knowing one of the things that you could do, one strategy, right, is spend 20 minutes a day just networking, just finding new people that are in your target audience that would be perfect clients for you and just reaching out and talking to them.
And so you can take, as you're building those quarterly, monthly, daily, weekly activities, you're saying layer in all the social media activity that you need to do to build that audience. And what I've noticed too, what I love about this, people don't necessarily buy what you're selling, they buy why you're selling it. So if you're sharing, if you're brave enough, right, to share the impact that you truly want to have, your big vision, people get behind that.
Yes.
I mean, people love, purpose-driven people, impact-driven people, and they love getting behind a great cause, and social is a great way a place to showcase that, right? So,
well, it's the best place to build authentic connections other than meeting people in real life, which right now, thank you, COVID, is a bit of a challenge for most of us. But yeah, and that's one thing that I love helping people with too, is understanding the power of their story. Because your story, Adrienne, is yours alone. No one can touch your history. No one can touch your experiences. No one can touch the way that things have impacted you and your perspective. And that makes you completely untouchable, completely unique. There's no competition against Adrienne because your story cannot be defrauded. And so the people that are going to work with you are going to really resonate with that story. And so you want to bring that story in as often as you can, just because it's not an icky thing. This is who I am. It's being as authentic as you possibly can and being okay with being vulnerable and sharing, the heartbreak of loss. We both have collective loss, like we understand the heartbreak of losing someone that we love. And it humanizes us. It helps us to be relatable, and it helps us to be approachable too.
Like we're real people and we have real stuff going on. Like everything that's happened to us leading up to this moment, that's our story.
Yeah.
But everything we aspire to do and the impact we hope to make, that's our future.
Yeah.
And like people need to know.
Yeah. So important. So important. And there are so many leaders in the space that I think have almost hit their glass ceiling that I have personally worked with in the past, that I've observed, I've witnessed. And I believe, my personal belief is they don't share enough of themselves. They're more strategy and business, less, let me share who I am and why you matter to me.
Yeah.
And I think that caps them, and I've just seen this with multiple different brands, multiple people. And it's really beautiful when you can see somebody just willing to open up. You don't have to be woo-woo. You don't have to be, it was so hard, but now I just want to give, that's not real either, right? Just be yourself.
Yeah.
Be yourself. It pays off. Yeah.
So I'm super curious. I would love to ask, if I can, what's the impact you would like to make with your business?
For sure. I mean, like I touched on at the beginning, I really learned that, after losing Libby and really analyzing myself, I realized that before I lost Libby, I was just an angry mom. I was an angry, pissed off, frustrated mom. And I didn't know how to emotionally deal with being stuck at home with kids all day. I homeschool my kids. I always have homeschooled my kids. And so literally since my firstborn, who is 10 and a half years old, was born, I've had a child with me like every day.
Okay. Yeah. And that's a challenge in and of itself.
I've had space over the years, but it's just like always surrounded by children. And I realized that what my children are witnessing with mommy being pissed off and mommy being angry, they take that on. Mm-hmm. Your children look at you as perfect. You are the perfect person, right? You are everything to them. And then
when they're little.
Yeah. Well, and that's the most formative time, right? Up until they're like 4 or 5, for sure, is when they're the most spongy. Yeah. And they look at you as like this perfect person, even if you treat them like you are. That's why we have worth issues, because our parents are. Sorry, you're just
we'll leave that out. We'll make it funny. It's fine.
Your parents are jacked up, right? Like we're all human. We're all jacked up. We've all got our issues, but you grow up and you've got issues with yourself because you take on this feeling of unlovable, unworthy, not good enough, because your parents have put this energy on you and it's not necessarily their fault, right? It's intentional. I never intended to be nasty to my kids. It just came out because I was emotionally immature.
Yeah.
And so I've just really thought about how much I've affected my children. And I affected my children because I was unhappy.
Yeah.
I was unhappy because I felt like I wanted more in my life than just being a mom, which also made me feel guilty. So I had guilt, and I had anger, and I had frustration, and I had this sense of like a lot of inner conflict. And after losing Libby and really going through like the dark night of the soul and reflecting on who I've been, who I've shown up as, I realized that I'm hurting my children, and I'm not hurting them today. I'm hurting them 10 years from now. I'm hurting them 20 years from now. If I don't work to correct the negative influence that I've had in their lives, they may grow up to be really jacked up men, and they're going to take their problems and their issues and their unworth and their feeling of unworthiness and their feeling of unlovableness into their marriages, and they're going to pass it on to their children. And just starting to think about that really, really hit me. And I thought, I'm not alone. I work with women. I've got 2 sisters. I have a mom. And I noticed there's a trend with moms, especially. We can be angry. We can hold things in, and we can pent up our anger, and we really tend to take it out on our children. They're easy targets. They're really easy targets.
Yeah. And
so one thing that I really, like, my big legacy picture, my big vision, I want to see more families whole and restored. I want to see more mamas and daddies feeling empowered and feeling good about the choices that they're making, and learning to embrace the moment. Instead of having that instant gratification, I've got to have this, I've got to have this, I've got to have this to feel like I'm worth something, to feel like I matter, to feel like I'm successful, right? All these things, all these lies that sabotage us from feeling joy in the moment, they actually are sabotaging, they're sabotaging you, they're sabotaging those around you. And your children are number one targets in this. And then you're not realizing what that's going to happen to, what effect that's going to cause to them as adults, what they're going to take on and bring and share with their children, and so on and so forth. And so I want to help to reverse that trend in whatever way I can. And so that's like my big want for the world, is for families to be restored. And even for those of you that don't have children, your energy affects people around you. So whether you go out into the grocery store, you're in traffic and you're cursing somebody out for cutting you off, you've got this energy that you're putting out in the world, and that affects them and their families and what energy they're taking on. It's just, I want to help play my part in raising awareness that You can have a life that you love. You can be happy in the moment. You can find joy even when circumstance seems to be working against you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that's,
Yeah.
that's what I want to do.
Oh, that's powerful, because I do recall, when I first started getting into business, I felt guilty for wanting to be a mom and a business owner, and like, mom guilt is powerful. I mean, but the minute I got clarity on what I was trying to build and why, right, and who I was and what I stood for, I felt better stepping into my fullness, my wholeness of all the parts of me, not just the mom part or just the business owner part, right? Like, so there's a magic to reaching that clarity
Mm-hmm.
and feeling okay stepping into your wholeness.
Yes.
Everything that you are. So that's, I love it. I'm so excited. Hopefully our viewers are feeling it too. And, I do understand this whole area of clarity and impact and vision can be hugely instrumental to success in business, right? Mm-hmm. And through social media, if that's where you're growing your business. So tell us a little bit, I'm super excited about this one. Tell us a little bit about your free gift that you have for everyone and how it can help them to kind of get that clarity and make that shift. Yeah,
for sure. I've got 2 gifts actually, but you have to do one to get to the other. So the first gift is a free quiz, which will help you to determine how clear you are in your business. And so I've titled it, "The 1% of entrepreneurs have clarity in their vision. How about you?" So I want to know, how about you? Do you have clarity? How far away from clarity are you? And so take the quiz and you'll find out where you are. Are you tracking, or could you need to, could you use some help?
Yeah.
And then with that, whenever you get your results, you'll also get an extract from my Q journal. So you can start planning your vision, getting your vision clear, getting focused so that you can start working daily towards that goal.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And, I thought I was clear until I met you and talked to you, and you helped me to actually get clear. And then I looked back, I realized like, man, I was a hot mess, right? But sometimes you don't know it when you're in it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't know it when you're in it. So I love the quiz idea. That's going to be super helpful for people. So be sure to grab Nicolette's quiz, right? Figure out how clear are you in your business, because that's impacting how clearly you come across to your audience, right? So let's take the quiz, get some clarity, and get some more sales on social. So I love, love, love this topic, because not everything about sales is about like the tactics of making a sale. Sometimes it's about what's going on up here, right? Mm-hmm. And how you show up in the world. So thank you so much for pouring in all of your value to our viewers today. I've loved this interview so much.
You've been listening to the Impactful Entrepreneurs Show with Adrienne Hill, where we support coaches, course creators, and network and affiliate marketers to translate their big picture vision into actionable plans to build out their business efficiently. If you love our show, we invite you to visit buildalifebydesign.com to join the conversation, access the show notes, and discover more helpful resources. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review, and share. Thank you for listening.